welcome to our fourth episode of a podcast for AMSA, and also Dr. Dijun. Before I start by introducing or telling what is something that we're going to talk about for this session, I'm going to let a doctor to introduce himself and what does he specializes on. Doctor, please.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. I'm Dr. Imran. I'm a lecturer at the Department of Family Medicine since the year 2008. Actually, I started my career in USM in the year 2000. So I've been with USM for I think 20 odd years now. 20 years, yeah. So when I first started in 2002, I think we basically established the quit smoking clinic. Yes, and I was part of the team, and then I sort of switched to drug addiction research, and I was doing research with we have our colleague in campus, Dr. Azhar, from Nadia, Dr. Azhar. I was a psychiatrist, and we were working with Yale. University of Yale group for a few years doing research in drug addiction, and then basically I'm doing mainly on addiction, drugs and nicotine addiction. I think that
I think it's very concerning issue when it comes to this, and this is why this is something that we're going to talk about, because if you don't know, this end of this month, which is 31st of May, is going to be World Tobacco Day. So I think it's very important for us to acknowledge it. So first of all, I want to ask, what is tobacco?
Okay, so tobacco, I think a lot more people know about cigarettes, right? Cigarettes or cigars, and it became some, even in Kota Baru, you can see shisha. Okay, so tobacco is basically a type of initially a type of plant, leafy plants. In fact, I still remember when I was in primary school, we were talking about we were learning about tobacco planter in Kelantan, in Bachok district. It's no longer there, but yeah, it's a type of plant. So where you utilize the leaves you have to dry, and then people turn it into something that they can smoke, or in some areas like even now in Sweden they sort of not really chew but put in their mouth the powder. And in fact, our traditional folks, they used to use the term songel tembakau. So in Malay is tembakau, right? So yeah, that's how you use tobacco. Why people are doing this? Because of the nicotine in the tobacco itself, and basically they are addicted to nicotine. But if you ask them, then they're not addicted; they just like it. But yeah, it's a form of just like other plants that can cause addiction, like opium, where you get opiates or morphine from. You have even in Malaysia and southern Thailand, you have this kratom or ketom, type of plant that can cause addiction. Yeah, so tobacco is just one of them, basically, right?
So from what you said that just now is that most of like the sources of tobacco was consumed in a form of cigarette, but sometimes people take it in powder and also like they chew it. Okay. So
they can do all sort of things, but most of the time, the most popular one of the cigarettes and cigars, I would say the more expensive variant type of it, and then of course you have shisha, and even now you have the liquid in the form of nicotine liquid when they use in the e-cigarettes and even in vape as well.
Yeah, true. That's like a rising popularity right now on like e-cigarettes. But before we get to that I wanted to know, so we knew that like smoking is bad, right? There's like so many bad effects of smoking, but I was wondering what is like the nicotine, what does the nicotine and also like the tobacco in the cigarette, what is the bad effect of consuming it?
Okay, so mentioned before, the addictive ingredient, the tobacco, is nicotine. So basically, nicotine is the only thing that can cause addiction, okay, in tobacco. But the problem is all these cigarettes and cigars and so many other products. The additives, the other things that been added to it. Okay, for example, if we talk about cigarette, 10 years ago we're talking about there are 4,000 chemicals in cigarette, but now we're talking about 7,000 chemicals in the cigarette. Okay, and where do these chemicals come from? It's from things that are added to the tobacco. I remember talking to one of the people involved in agriculture. They said tobacco basically is a plant that uses the most amount of poison, or we call it insecticides. When you're planting it, you have to spray with insecticide. When you're processing it, before you send it to the company, you have to spray again to prevent all these insects from destroying. So the problem with the so many chemicals added to the cigarette, and out of this 7,000, at least 70 are carcinogenic, meaning they can cause cancers. Okay, and this is the main problem with tobacco products, because of other chemicals in there. But they cannot stop using it because of the presence of nicotine that's causing addiction, or causing them to get basically stuck to the habit. So, and nicotine itself is quite dangerous if you take the enough amount. Basically, it's a vasoconstrictor. It can constrict your blood vessels, so you can have all this. For example, heart problem is basically you have a problem with blood supply to your heart. Okay, so but the many other chemicals that's causing other problems as well.
Yeah, it's true. And also, like you mentioned, it was vasoconstrictive, right? And I see a lot of people who consume or have cigarettes. They are mainly from the people, not mainly, but I do see a lot of few people are, from the body weight of like obese or overweight. So in these issues, we do talk about how like people with like, narrowing blood vessel and all that, and then when they took again this tobacco, it just increases more risk of getting heart attacks.
It's interesting when you mention obesity, because that's another risk factors for talking about heart disease, coronary heart disease, right? Obesity is one of the risk factors. But if you notice, many of the smokers, they can be obese, but the problem get worse when they stop smoking, because part of the things, the effect of tobacco in general is they suppress your appetite. Nicotine itself suppress your appetite. So once they stop using cigarettes, not taking the nicotine, they get the reverse. They tend to have better appetite. They eat more. They can get bigger in size. Yeah. But we can talk about that later.
Okay, yeah, because I do watch a few shows, and then they talk about how like in order to be skinny, like they took cigarettes, and yeah, it's actually really good that you brought it up.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate, especially among the teenagers, and especially girls and young women. They want to have this because of the influenced by the mass media, slimmer body type, body size. So one of the things they know that can maintain that is using cigarettes or any nicotine products. But that is basically something really wrong to do, because you basically are introducing a lot more danger to yourself. Your gain is, I would say, quite minimal by having this more desirable body size, but the dangers will be coming later on. Then the consequences very bad. Yeah.
It is also interesting that you mentioned that in order to plant the nicotine, in order to plant the tobacco, you have to use insecticide. And I think before this, we actually learned about how like insecticides actually can cause like accumulation in your body. Like the toxin are accumulating, and then like the more you consume, like the more toxin is accumulated. But that's like something I heard before.
Mentioned earlier, because exercise is just one thing, but as I mentioned, more than 70 in a cigarette. And it's not just from the insecticides, it's other additives that's being basically used to make sure that as it is when the consumers buy it from the shop, and then it's in good shape. So there are so many chemicals added, so it's not just from the insecticide. Yes, but the problem is when you, let's say you cigarette, just one cigarette, maybe it's not going to do you a lot of problem. It's not going to much to accumulate, as you mentioned, and because this is the thing with addiction. Okay, you start with body one is not enough, very increased enough, and at one stage you just cannot stop taking it. So, yes, it's going to accumulate, and it's going to get worse. You're going to use more, and you're going to need more, and you're accumulating a lot more chemicals in your body and developing diseases in your body.
Yeah, true. And even though like they put a lot of like on the packaging, like how dangerous it is to to smoke, and people still smoke. So I was wondering, so if it is so well known that like the bad effects of cigarettes, right, and people still take it, it must be something that's very hard to quit. So I wanted to know, what are like the withdrawal signs, like when people stop using it, what do they actually would experience, or like they would have to go through?
Okay, so this is very important because I remember I was doing a talk on the radio a few years back, and then one gentleman, basically is older Pachila, basically he gave a call, and he was basically telling everybody that this is not an addiction, this is just a bad habit. So I think this is very important to educate the society that this is a form of addiction, okay? And it's similar to other addiction. We have people addicted to nicotine, we have people addicted to alcohol, we have people addicted to morphine, methamphetamine, or over here we call many pill kuda. Okay, so what is all this addiction? Addiction is something that when you have the problem with it, basically you cannot stop using it, because you're dependent on the substance, and when you try to stop using it, or you're not having supply for it, then you start to have all these withdrawals. And back to your question, what are the withdrawals experienced by the smoking? I would say it's easier for us to talk about what are the effects of using cigarette nicotine. Is basically we're talking about nicotine, right? Okay. When you talk to people using nicotine, you ask them why using nicotine. I'm smoking. You're not asking them why using nicotine. Now you ask them why you smoking. They say, okay, I have to smoke, others I feel very sleepy, I get irritated if I don't smoke, I cannot concentrate in my job, I don't feel happy, something is missing, I've got constipation. So basically this is the effect of the addiction itself, the dependent itself. They have all this feeling, so they need to take a cigarette to just get the effect of the nicotine. So when you stop using nicotine, you're not smoking a cigarette, the opposite will come. And this effect is quite similar to methamphetamines. They are stimulants. Okay, so when you're not smoking a cigarette, you feel tired, you feel sleepy, you cannot concentrate. I always describe to patients like someone's having toothache, bad toothache. So nobody will come and talk to you because you get irritated very easily. So that kind of thing. So it's very bad. People are talking about even at night or early in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, you need your find it even in the rain during heavy rain, because you need that fix. You need to get the drug basically in your body. So basically you have all the desired effect of using it because of the addiction, and then once you stop, it's going to be the opposite. Okay, so in this case you have all those things. And I remember one patient just tell me every time he goes to the toilet, passing motion, bowel motion, he needs to take a cigarette, otherwise he cannot do it because he's addicted to cigarette, and then it's going to cause constipation. That's the withdrawal, one example of withdrawal.
Well, I actually never thought like until like that extent of the effect.
Yeah,
of
join my
withdrawal.
clinic and you hear a lot of things. Yeah.
I'm actually very shocked to know that. Okay, so most of the people that we know, right, if they smokes, they usually start from like not like a young age, but usually like teenager during their youth, and we can say like most people they start smoking at the youth, and then like by the end of like the time, and then they will just not stop, and then most of the people they don't like really start at late age. Usually people who start, they are starting at like teenagers age. So do you ever like encounter patients that are very young and then they came in with like these issues, like they are heavy smokers?
Yeah, I've got experience. We have a series of talk to some of the schools, so we've got information from the teachers, and even if you read in the newspaper, you can see once in a while pictures of young, basically primary school students smoking. And in fact, my own experience talking to my friends, they started using cigarettes while they are in primary school, 9, 10 years old, and the problem is that at that time, because of during my time, okay, when I was a lot younger than today, okay, so you watch all this, for example, World Cup, okay, soccer, okay, football. Then who's the sponsor? The one of the most famous cigarette brand at the time. I'm not going to mention the name, okay. So these are the thing, and when you read the magazine, those time, at the end, at the back of the magazine, basically is the advertisement on cigarettes. And in fact, we go further down, even in America, I've come across the old advertisement said this brand of cigarettes is the choice of many doctors. So you see, that's the culture that they were in. Okay, no longer there, right? And we're not seeing any cigarette companies sponsoring sporting events. Okay, we're not seeing advertisement on the billboards, on the page of the magazines. But still, that's the nature of the teenagers. The nature is to experiment, living up to the challenge, doing something dangerous, just like driving reckless motorbike recklessly, okay, involving in trying to do small time secret, even drugs for some of them. So yes, it's just because of the nature of human being. They are experimenting, so they're trying knowing the consequence of it without realizing that not something just having fun forever. Is going to have fun now, and it's going to have a very bad consequence later on. So, but they cannot connect the two together. What they're seeing is now, what I'm having now is very beautiful experience. I feel very good smoking cigarettes, so I want to do it. And my friends, especially you with the wrong friends, are doing it. So I'm doing it. So everybody's doing it. What they don't realize is that everybody's doing it only within the small group of with a wrong decision or not well informed regarding all these things.
Yeah. So, do you have like any idea that you think would be great to be like a way to like to stop or to lessen the amount of youth that are actually involved, in smoking habits?
Yeah, I think our government has been doing this and been trying to basically stop people from starting using cigarette. I think that's very important. And then everybody realize that that's the most important step you have to make, or decision that you have to things that we have to implement, because we know once you start using it, you're going to get addicted and you're going to use it forever, and it's very difficult to stop smoking, right, because of the addiction. Okay, so in fact, at USM level, I mean, in state of Kelantan, we have this maybe I mentioned here, the initiative Kelantan Bebas Asap IKBA. And IKBA is basically the work joint effort by the Kelantan government and the Jabatan Kesihatan di Kelantan and NGO, spearheaded by FAMAS, this Family Medicine Association of USM under the Family Medicine Department, and there's another NGO, Papisma. Okay, so we're working together. We came up with the the campaign. We have a workshop with the youth, and in fact, with this IKBA, we have the Sahabat IKBA, where we get all these students from certain schools. We train them so that they can be the ambassadors of a role model for the youth. And we've been working together with and going to schools, and we conducted a program in the Kota Baru area and other areas in all over Kelantan. And we came up with all this billboard, trying to educate the people that smoking is something is really dangerous. They shouldn't start using it. Yeah. We've done a lot of things, but still we need to do a lot more.
True. There's like a lot of things that we actually have to like still do in order to like stop people from actually consuming cigarettes. And even though people try to stop, and it's very hard because for example, right, it's a very famous show like The Friends. Like they used to smoke in the rooftop, and then like when they wanted to stop, they just keep complaining about how hard it is to stop, how it's impossible, they couldn't even last a day. So I was wondering if there's any like a lot of like professional help, especially from like the government clinic itself, to actually help people to stop smoking.
Yes, it is. And I agree with it. It's very difficult to stop smoking. Even if you talk to the people coming to the clinic, our quit smoking clinic, you talk to them, they have tried so many times, either on their own with the help of friends or even the clinic itself, but they fail. And we always stress this: failing the once doesn't mean that you fail. It's just that it's the steps you have to take. Maybe you need a few tries to finally overcome your addiction. So yes, if you realize you're talking about Malaysia, right? So we have each state you have got your own the districts. Like in Kelantan you have the Kota Baru, Pasir Masuk. In every district you have the clinic kesihatan, right? And there's a family medicine specialist there running the clinic. And in this clinic, at this smoking clinic, there will be doctors, or there could be medical assistants to be there to help whoever is willing to stop smoking. So at the clinic, they guide you on how on the best way to kick off the habit. And we can at one stage, I think they even supplied the medication, special medication, tablet medication. We have other medications that on offer, but we can prescribe and see the patient can go and buy and nicotine gum. Yes, so we have all this clinic, but sometimes maybe people just again, maybe we need to advertise more so that a lot more people know about this clinic. Maybe we need to tell the success of the clinic, but the one that we have at GSM under the outpatient clinic of primary care department, family medicine department, yes, we have our we've got now we used to have two being trained by WHO, even two of them went to Hong Kong to get trained in this. Now we have Dr. Nusaila. Basically, I'm helping Dr. Nusaila. We used to have Dr. Farida. Now she's with IMU. So we've got the specially trained doing this. So just that we need people to come, and then hopefully we can help. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that actually interests me a lot is that when you mention about like nicotine gum and all this medication, I think a lot of people actually don't know this kind of thing exists. They didn't know, like, besides of just quitting and like avoiding stuff, there's another way if you want to like compensate or try to reduce like the withdrawal sign. So beside nicotine gum, is there like any like well-known method or medication that people usually use in order to stop?
Mentioning this, so I think a lot more people aware of the Methadone Clinic. The Methadone Clinic is a clinic special to cater for those who are addicted to morphine. Okay, morphine is very bad drugs. People inject morphine. So we have this Methadone Clinic. So one is called Methadone Clinic because we're using drugs there, the methadone. Methadone is basically got similar features or characteristics with morphine. Basically, it can help. Basically, we are replacing. We're telling our patient, okay, stop using morphine, replace it with methadone, because we know because methadone is safer drugs. It will take a long time for me to discuss about that. So basically, we are replacing with another drug. There's been success story with Methadone Clinic. Back to our nicotine. So we know our smokers, they are addicted to nicotine. It may be a bit tricky to sound, because what we are telling our patient, okay, now you are taking nicotine in your cigarette. Now what we want you to do is stop taking nicotine from cigarette. We are going to replace your nicotine different type of nicotine in the form of gum or in the form of patch, a nicotine patch. Nicotine patch body, and it's going to stay there for certain hours, and then it's going to release the nicotine. But so basically you're getting your supply of nicotine from the dispatch of this gum, and so that you don't need the supply from the cigarette. Some people might ask, oh, is this going to work? Yes, if you are really motivated, you are really compliant or to the treatment, adhere to the treatment, you can be successful. Okay, so that basically is the replacement. In fact, last time we do have a nicotine inhaler, that kind of, but nowadays no longer using it. But apart from that, that's another drug. That's not nicotine in the form of varenicline. Okay, this is a medication that you take the medication. It can help you by the way of competing in the binding of the receptors in the brain. Basically, you can make the people who smoke the cigarette not getting the kick from the cigarette anymore, so they don't feel like they sort of feel useless taking a cigarette because they don't get the same feeling. Okay, so varenicline has the ability to that you need to go to the clinic, and doctor needs to explain to you and prescribe the medication to you. I think even in KK, I mentioned before, the government did supply this drug, but unfortunately, I think with some something wrong along the way, not many people are presented to clinic and take the chance to use this drug. And apart from that, you have other drugs like buprenorphine that they can be used to counteract the effect of nicotine. Yeah.
So we see like a lot of medication, and actually like the way they work are really brilliant, and like in my opinion, and this shows like how much people actually like really really put an effort so people actually stop smoking. And I think like most of the time they just maybe they would go through triggers, like something that triggers them to continue smoking, and they just they stop their process of like their journey to stop smoking. So I was wondering, what are the triggers? Because we know when people stress, they tend to smoke, and there's other things that I heard like through Reddit and all that, like how people they relapse, like they want to stop smoking, and then due to certain circumstances they become addicted again.
Use is something that's very important when you talk about addiction. Okay, and I remember my drug patient use Instagram when they're trying to stop using the drugs. So one patient just told me that he's not using his motorbike anymore because he used to use that motorbike to go to his sport to get his injection. He knew that if he were to use that motorbike, even to go somewhere else, he's going to steer that motorbike to that same place where he can get the drug. So it's very powerful. So he told me that he stopped using his motorbike. Okay. And the same thing, anything at all. So they avoid going to the place where they used to have their session with their friends. And even friends themselves can be a good source of trigger. Okay? You used to dangerous earlier on for you to go and mix with this person while you are quitting cigarette. I remember my real story from a patient that I think it was from I think it's from Penang, and it was working in KL. Then he stopped smoking for I think more than 2 years. But whenever he's going back to Penang, he get the supply of nicotine gum. Because in Penang he's going to meet his friend, and that's the feeling, the trigger to smoke going to be very strong. So he basically prepare himself by getting the nicotine gum so that he can use it whenever he's going to see his old friend, because this old friend will remind. And the same thing when we talk to the patient while they're trying to stop smoking, to get rid of anything that will remind them of their smoking habit, like the ashtray. Even if you used to support this glove with a certain color, especially red color, because one of the cigarettes packing was bright red last time. So you need to get rid of that. All your clothes that with the smell of nicotine or tar, get rid of it, because it's going to trigger you to smoke again. So you have to basically make sure that there's nothing that when you look at that's going to remind you of your smoking. Otherwise, the sensation will come, and then it's very difficult for you to stop. You're going to go and get your cigarette fix again. Yeah, it's very strong.
Yeah, the willpower of the guy, like the patient that you mentioned, is amazing. Like how they really wanted to stop. Yeah, and some of them, it's really sad how like their friends could actually be the triggers, because I heard sometimes even like acquaintances of mine where if they wanted to stop smoking, people would start to criticize like the image of masculinity. Some part of like the community thinks that by consuming cigarette it gave them like a sense of masculinity, and when they stop, and people will start to criticize. So I think it's really one of the biggest impact is definitely friends and peers.
Yeah, I agree with you. In fact, at the clinic, when we talk to people who are quitting, we inform them it's a good idea for you to tell basically everybody. If you're married, tell your partner, tell your children, and especially your friends, especially those who are still smoking, so that at least they know that what you're trying to do now. And because you know what, if you don't tell them, you try to hide from them, and whenever you go and meet them, they're going to offer you, because it's the friendship, right, and a brotherhood type of thing. So you're going to offer your secrets, you know, even drug addicts are going to offer drugs to their friends. So it's natural for them to offer you secrets, and when this happens, that's it, you're going to smoke again most of the time, especially in the earlier phase of your quitting session program. So it's good, and better is for you to get your friends to join the program together with, so that you can quit together. That will be easier, because we're not telling you to get rid of your friends, no, but we know they are going to trigger you, they're going to influence you. So if you can get your friends to quit together, that would be the best option. But yes, it's difficult, so at least get your friend to know, so that hopefully they're going to help you, not offering you any secret or any drugs in that matter while you're in the process of quitting, and even after that. Okay, so hopefully they're going to respect your decision, not to mock you, not to belittle, and if they can support you. I think they can very nice out there. Most of people will say very nice. They got to support you, they got to help you, even though they're still doing the thing they're not supposed to do. Yeah, so it's very important to let the people know.
So while I was doing a few research on Google, I searched up stopping addiction, stopping cigarettes. I actually came across this thing where it's called MQuit, and the jump quit by the Ministry of Health. And also I actually see University of Science Malaysia, our university, is actually a part of the program. So can you just briefly introduce a little bit about this program, so people would know?
Okay, yeah, our clinic is part of this program by the Malaysian government. Yeah, so MQuit is this program, so that we're trying to make it easy for people to quit their cigarettes, okay? Because we know the bad consequence of it. But in the clinic, generally, in any patient, basically, we always tell our doctors there, junior doctors, to just at least ask the question to anybody who's coming to clinic, especially men or guys, because we know the prevalence of smoking among them is higher, whether they smoke or not. Okay, that's the least you can do. The fact, if they're a smoker, then get some more information smoking, and try to stop before, and just assess their status, and then if they are interested, then offer them to go to the clinic for another session to stop them, because they're coming for different reasons, right? Those who are not interested, we're not going to harass them, we're just going to stop there. But next time they come to the clinic, we're going to ask again. Okay, so these are what we're supposed to do in the clinic in general. Okay? So those who are interested or willing to stop, they can go to the clinic, and over there again we're going to assess them again. We're going to check their determination, their motivation to stop, whether they're motivated or not, and then we have the counseling session. And those who have a strong motivation, then we're going to assist them to stop smoking. And this thing can be in the form of counseling. It depends on their level of addiction. We have this way of assessing how addicted you are to the nicotine. Strong score, I'm using it. Okay, there's a question we ask them, and then from there, and the number of cigarettes, how bad your addiction is. And the information is also important to know, to sort of gauge how much you have. Okay? Some people, they can just stop just like it. We call it the term cold turkey, but we don't advise that. At the clinic, at least we have the counseling, some people might not need medication to stop. They don't need of counseling, but they're very determined. Okay, I've got stories of very determined people. Okay, one guy came in and told me one day he just threw away his pack of cigarettes, and the reason why, because at that moment his, I think, older brother gave him a call and tell him just to get rid of cigarette because he's got lung cancer. Okay, then he told me he just threw away the cigarette and was very determined to stop. It's just that he came to the clinic later on because he got this bad withdrawal. So we helped him with nicotine gum. The patient got this motivation to stop. And this is the role of the family members, because he was trying. He was a married guy. He was trying to get a child of their own, but they have been unsuccessful. Successful. Sorry. And finally, they decided to adopt a child. I can't remember, it's a boy or girl. But then, so the child's coming to their family, to their home. So he was very determined. I'm going because I'm very happy because I've got this child finally. So I'm going to stop smoking. So he came to the clinic and was very motivated to stop. And then we helped him a bit. Yeah. So yeah, back to yeah. So it's very, very important those are the things that we can offer to our patients. Some of them, they don't really need much help, but those who are very addicted and maybe motivation level is not high, but they're still interested, we can help them in so many other ways. And I remember one patient basically got stuck to nicotine gum, because the nicotine gum is supposed to give for a certain time, and at most 6 months, but then you try to stop it for that. But this guy basically got stuck with the nicotine gum, but still, to me, it's still okay, because at least you are not getting all other chemicals, you're only getting the nicotine. Smoking cigarette, nicotine plus all the other chemicals.
Okay. So, doctor, by the way, I want to inform. Actually, we only have like 5 minutes more, and then we have to re-enter the room because I have limits. Yeah. So, and then we'll have to re-enter after this, and we'll cut this part out, like the one I'm talking right now. During that break a little bit, do you want to drink water? Because
it's okay.
Okay. So I will move on to the very next question. Is that when you first mentioned about the vape and e-cigarette and shisha, right? And then also the nicotine amount in it. So a lot of people, they said like, oh, because shisha doesn't smell as bad, or maybe because like they said, oh, vape doesn't smell as bad as cigarette itself, and like so they just make this as like a method of measurement whether it's dangerous or not. And it obviously it's wrong. It's not the right way to like measure how dangerous it is, because I think they are both equally, and they're even possesses more danger. So I was wondering if like, what's the difference between the content, like amount, like nicotine amount, like is it more in cigarette or is it more in vape and shisha?
Okay, thank you for that. That's a very quite difficult question to answer, because I think we have problem with regulation. Okay, just to so just sort of evolution, you know. We used to have this cigarette, traditional cigarette, and then just like cars, right? You have cars, petrol, and then people are switching to electric car, right? And you've got you used to take photo using our Kodak, right? Fujifilm, things like that. Now we're moving to digital camera, right? Now even smartphones, right? So I think the same thing happened with the cigarettes, right? We used to smoke cigarettes. Now people are shifting to electronic cigarettes. But the problem is some country, especially maybe I can quote United Kingdom. they are advocating this the use of vape to for people who cannot stop smoking, switch to vaping. But again, that's the issue with the regulation, because they regulate that and they control the content of the vape itself. So the problem with vape and nicotine and then e-cigarette is you don't know what's in there, and people can put anything in there, right? Yeah, because if you look at, I don't know, you look at the pack of cigarette, it's mentioned there how much the amount of nicotine in there, especially, right? How many milligrams, things like that. But in vape or e-cigarette, you don't have such thing, right? So the same, for example, e-cigarette. There's a bit the difference between e-cigarettes and vape. E-cigarette, I think, more of devices that basically with nicotine in it. Basically, they heat the nicotine fluid, and then they get all get the nicotine from it. Vape, I think, started with, they're not nicotine based, but they have all these flavors. But as I mentioned earlier, we don't know. They can put anything in there. They can put instead of flavors, they can put nicotine. They can put even other drugs, and that's very dangerous to our youth. They tend to experiment, and then they are the one who are really putting all these things inside the vape. So in a sense, yes, it could be more dangerous than cigarette smoking itself because of this the issue. And by the way, they're not supposed to start vaping anyway. So you're not supposed to start but to use a cigarette, you're not supposed to start vaping or e-cigarette whatsoever. You're not supposed to start, okay? But that's the problem with especially our youth. They're using it, they're experimenting with it, and they can put anything in it. So yes, it's very dangerous. And you don't even talking about the incidents where in America, where there's Ivali, right? A vape-related lung injury, apparently because something like vitamin E in the part of the fluid. So they've got damage to the lung. So these are the things that's going to happen, that can happen when you use vape, especially among teenagers. And it's very important. Adults may be a different story if they never use a cigarette before, and then they're not supposed to start vape or e-cigarette now because they haven't used it before. But in that case, if they still started using vape or e-cigarette, the impact is not as bad as when you are very young and you start using vape or e-cigarette, because your lifespan is going to be a lot longer, and then the accumulation of damage is going to be great. So I think we need to realize that, okay? And by the way, the bottom line is you are not supposed to start using any drugs in your life. You should be happy without using any drugs. But in the case of those who are already addicted to it, we try to help them to stop the addiction. That's it.
Yeah, I think the very last one I really wanted to stress on is that how actually we prejudice people with smoking addiction, because I see most of the time, instead of telling people to quit and telling them the solution, I feel like people took a little more of an aggressive approach. They keep telling them, oh, you're going to die, or you're going to get lung cancer, or what you do is wrong, you smell bad. It's just all the bad stuff, and no one is guiding. So how would they have the will to stop if I think most of the time people don't, be positively supporting? It's more like a negative way, being wrapped in positivity. Like they just don't do it very well.
Yeah, I think I can illustrate this better by talking about my drug addicted patients. Okay, so if you remember, for drug addict last time, when what we do with our drug addicts, we just catch them and put them in jail or put them in a pusat, and then we're not doing much to help them. Any help in terms of treatment, we just lock them up and throw away the key, basically, right? We're not doing much. And what do we call them? We call them najis masyarakat, that kind of thing, right? So was last time, right? That was the. But I think now we have shifted to a better, much better solution, much better program. Okay, we introduced the needle exchange program. We introduced the Methadone Clinic, and we supply methadone for free. In fact, we supply condom for free for them. Okay, just to prevent the spread of HIV and hepatitis C, right? And hepatitis B for the matter. So, and then the same, we're treating them, because before this we are treating them as a criminal. Okay, they use drug, you are a criminal. But now we are trying to educate our society that they are not criminals, they are addicted. Basically, addiction is a part of the medical problem, so they are a patient. Okay, this is something that I really learned from the professors from Yale. And they was telling me, like, you have someone with diabetes, uncontrolled sugar, and they come to the clinic. Trying your best to have a normal sugar level. No, you're going to ask them why this happened, how we're going to avoid having this situation again in the future. And the same thing, we should treat our drug addicts the same way. When they come and they're positive for certain drugs, then we just talk to them and try to overcome the problem so that they can have a better future. And then I think that's the way to go. And the same with drug smokers. Okay, they started when they were very young, and then very innocent, right? Not knowing the danger, and then they somehow stuck and got addicted. We have to treat them as having addiction. Maybe if they don't like us to use the term addiction, addicted to cigarette. But again, that's we're treating them as a patient. So as a patient, what we have to do as doctors, we're going to welcome them to our clinic. We're going to talk to them. We're going to counsel them, and we're going to offer medication to them when they need medication. And I think that's the way forward, right? And our government is doing exactly the same thing now, basically by having all this quit smoking clinic, and by supplying and sending the officers to get trained, seminars, workshops, and quit smoking. Right? So yes, that's the way to help, and because they are our friends, they are our family members. So and maybe it's quite important to know, even though they are the ones smoking, they're going to affect other person as well. Because have a better environment for everybody.
Yeah, it's very important, because when you mentioned about the Najis Masyarakat, I remember when I was in primary school, there's just so many posters about like Najis Masyarakat, and I really think it's not right. Yeah, so and then like I see how it progressed now, and like we don't say that anymore, and how it's lasted. Like we took a more positive approach, and it's actually really glad to see, because back then when I grew up, it's really like it's bad. It's just bad. No one cares about how they feel. No one cares about how hard it is for them to stop. But it was just telling them that they're terrible, they're Najis Masyarakat, and I see that poster all the time when I was a kid, and now like growing up, right now, I don't see that much anymore. And that's why I think we do progress a lot when it comes to this. And before we end, Doctor, I really want to ask, is there anything that you wanted, any last note that they want to give to the audience about like when it comes to, stopping to get addiction on cigarettes and also tobacco consumption?
As I think I mentioned this earlier. Okay, the thing is, we've got so many things in our life, so many things that we can get addicted to. Okay, some people are talking addicted to food, right? Sugar addiction. Okay, but all these things, they're becoming. We have to face them, and especially to our youth. Okay, don't start anything. Okay, because the feeling, the zest is just towards that. Do something. Do face the challenge. Try things that you cross the line. Because once you cross the line, you get to the other side, it's very difficult for you to come back to the normal way of life. Because being addicted to anything at all is not normal. It's not how our body is meant to be. So do not cross the line. If the temptation is there, it's very strong, but still you have to really, that's a real champion. You have to be the champion by not crossing the line. Do not go to there, because as I said, it's very difficult to get back to the other side. Yeah, so to our youth out there, don't stop smoking, don't vape, don't use e-cigarette, don't do drugs, don't drink, and any other vices. Okay.
Okay, so thank you to Dr. Imran for amazing and also very informative. I would say there's a lot of things that I never knew, and like now I like learn a lot from this, and I really hope that you guys learn also from this session of podcast this time. And one thing I want to stress on is that if you have addiction, really just seek help. The very first way is acknowledge that you have a problem, and also to seek help, because there's a lot of people that are willing to help, and people would really glad to help. So therefore, there's the society and then the prejudice, but really there's people that are willing to help and definitely seek help. And for those people who have friends and family that are addicted to cigarettes and also tobacco, please do not get involved. And so thank you for this session, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.